Yes. Yeah, because there's like 4 or 5 more of these coming in from, well, one's from Canada coming in, and then there's another one. So, oh, Gates de Raga.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so we're live right now, just so you know.
Got me anything bigger? No, it's fine. It'll sink after time. Worry, George, it's fine.
Beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Awesome.
My guest is Michael Mason, and flutist, and from Chicago, and that's from his new record, Human Revolution. Why the name?
Human Revolution. Well, it's basically a Buddhist term. It's really what it is. It's an inner looking at ourselves and how we react to the world, and how we react to others. And we need a lot more of that nowadays. So that's taking stock of yourself, holding yourself accountable, compassion and joy for others, helping others where we can. So that's really what it's about. It's a self-addressing of taking stock of yourself, where are you at in the world? So as you relate, to others.
Yeah. Yeah. No time like now for that. I'm surprised. I've never heard that term in the Buddhist tradition. It's interesting because the word revolution doesn't make me think about Buddhism.
No, it doesn't. I know. That's when I first read it. So if we have the teachings of a Nichiren Buddhism, it's very commonly used as a term. Way back when Buddha Sakamari or whatever, I forget. There's so many different schools of Buddhism, but I had studied it for several years to try to find some soul searching for myself. And, basically what it revealed was, hey, man, take accountability of yourself, do the right thing, and, take care of others as you would want to be treated. Same thing like other religions. It has its basis. So that's how we came up with that.
When did you start working on this project?
This project started, I think it started last year when I started writing. You have to understand, I took an 8-year hiatus, or 9 years.
Oh, really?
Yes. I have 7 albums out prior to this. And I took off 9-10 years from writing and everything. At the time, I was also, I don't know if you know, I'm also not sidetracked. I took on another profession in helping others called firefighting. I've been a flutist for 42 years and a firefighter for 37 years. So that's, I just took a break. I developed a lot of different music back in I'm a 60s and 70s guy. The night I graduated high school, I hitchhiked to Laurel Candy, 1969. Now, So I was heavily influenced by the people I met out there and everything, but I had to come back I had already pre-registered for University of Wisconsin. But I thought I'd take a summer and spend it at Laurel. I was living in a garage at an artist studio down there, Sunset, basically almost right across from the Canyon store.
Wow, I know exactly where that is.
Yes, I know you do. So, yeah. So I had to head back. I spent a wonderful 3 months. I was a guitar player. I was a folk singer. That's what I was. Yeah, I had my guitar with me. And spent several months there and got to meet a lot of people. I met people I didn't even really realize, in regards to who they might be or become. Like, Jackson Brown and things like that. We didn't even know each other, I ended up getting a bunch of tickets to a festival called Wall Kills. And I couldn't make it. I said, I can't, they were given to me. I said, no, give them to somebody else. And here it comes to find out it's Woodstock, So, Wall Kills, I guess, was the first place they were going to have this thing, and then they changed it or whatever. and then I pitched bass. So that's how this all started. Was I was a folk singer, and the flute was simply an accident. It
Really?
was, oh yeah, yeah. My guitars were stolen in an apartment in the city of Chicago, and unbeknownst to me, my first marriage was very brief, but yeah, they stole a bunch of vintage guitars, and I went to go get them replaced, and the owner of the store,
Yeah.
hey, Mike, while you're waiting for these things, you know, I had only 2 of them were insured, but he was vintage stuff. But make a long story short, he just, hey man, you want to take this flute back with you while you're waiting, you know, for getting your guitars. So I said, yeah, you know, and at that time I was still writing a lot of progressive rock music and stuff. So I started imitating off of records, Rashawn Roland Kirk and Jethro Tull. And so I was bastardizing the instrument, basically. Didn't know what I was doing. And I just stayed on it. And it just kind of took over. And, you know, I ended up getting lucky for, I got lucky, man. I bastardized the instrument for several years. I thought I would go to an audition at the Sherwood School of Music. Now I'm going to the big time. You know, I'm going to go on Michigan Avenue in Chicago, to where all the conservatories were lined up. You know, I'm going on there and get, you know, try to find a legitimate teacher or something. You know, and I had learned a Mozart piece, self-taught myself a little excerpt from Mozart, because you had to go, when you went down to the audition, they required that you play something classical and then maybe something.
Oh boy, I can just imagine this.
It was not good. This thing turned out well. I went down there and I played my piece, and I got lost in the piece because I wasn't really reading music anymore. I was more of an improviser because I was doing jazz things all over the city. You know, I'm just learning off the guys. You know. And that's it. So I walked out of there. I thought I had a great audition. I had the most lousiest audition I could think of.
Yeah.
You know, I'm totally despondent. Went back to we had a big mini mansion in Oak Park, and I continued to create music with a lot of progressive rock groups. Because I had a lot of musicians I was involved with. So I figured I just wrote that off. Said, "Wow, forget it. You'll never find a seat in an orchestra anywhere. That's for sure." Next thing you know, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks later, the secretary from the Sherwood School calls me up and says, she goes, "Yeah, Michael?" I go, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, you know, Joseph Zerov is the first chair lyric player of the Chicago Lyric Orchestra. And that's who I was auditioning for to get on his list of students or whatever." And she informed me that, yeah, she goes, yeah, Joseph would like to take on. And I was like, is this a joke? You know? She goes, no, he wanted to, here's his number. You need to call him. This is before cell phones or anything like that, you know. So I called him up on the phone. He goes, yeah, Miguel, he's an old, he was back then, he was young. He was a nice Jewish man, you know. And he goes, Miguel, he says, you know, he says, I found your playing very interesting, but you need a lot of work. And I said, well, I can't believe I'm even getting this phone call. He says, yes, just come on to my house. You got to come out to my house. He says, but do me a favor, you know, when you come out, could you leave your flute at home? I was like, really? Wow. So that's how that started.
Wait a minute. Can we hear a little bit more about that? Did you actually leave your flute at home, or was
I definitely did. Yes.
And why did he want that?
Well, because he had 9 flutes of his own.
Okay.
You know, apparently I wasn't even, I was so crazy. I wasn't even putting the flute together in the right turning points and all that, because I was just, you know, I was imitating. Rashawn Roland Kirk is a jazz player, and Ian Anderson, who I had met finally a few years later.
Yeah.
You know, I was just bastardizing the instrument. You know, the fingering wasn't always all the correct. So he had straightened me out on that. And then from there, I pursued the actual classical world of learning the flute in a
Well, he
much
must
more.
have, obviously he heard and saw something that he thought was promising.
Yeah,
It's really interesting. You know, that's a sign of a great teacher, isn't it? You know?
I don't know, man. It wasn't good. It wa- Even through his studies, I was still improvising constantly. I mean, I just couldn't. Anyways, to make a line, I finally ended up at the American Conservatory of Music. He had got me in there,
Oh,
uh, and said, "Yeah, okay, you're good enough to go get a degree in music."
wow.
And I still screwed that up.
You did?
Oh, I screwed it up. It was horrible. My third year, they have juries, you know.
Yeah.
A jury is where you would, go in front of a board of exquisite players or whatever, or professors,
Yeah.
and I would sit there and play, and you had to have your Mozart, whatever. You picked a piece. Again, I was always wandering off the page, you
Yeah.
know, and so they finally said, hey man, you might not make your senior juries. And I said, okay, good. So I think it was the junior jury. And then I walked down the halls. That following Monday, I go back down the halls and I'm listening to 9 flute players. I got 5 on this side, 6 on this side. They all sound like the teachers they're emanating,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a light bulb went on in my head. It's going, let's see. There's only 102 seats in the United States of America for flute players in orchestras. What are the chances that you're going to be one of them? Not good. So that's when I skipped town, so to speak, and just stuck to the jazz world and the rock world.
Oh, well, that was very
That's how
sane of you, you know?
that's how it happened.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, yeah, gee, I think when you were here playing guitar, that was probably the time when Ted Green was kind of active too, wasn't he?
I don't know that. Ted here? Oh, in LA?
LA? Yeah,
No,
he was
there
like a
was a
legendary guitar player.
yes, Ted, but there was also I had crossed paths with Leland Sklar.
Yeah,
Uh, he was at that time. Well, he still is. He was a bassist,
yeah,
and we had done some impromptu things at a party we were at, and that's as far. I didn't have to spend much time there. I had to get back to school. I was doing school on latter part of August,
oh, I see.
and that's why I turned my tickets back from because Woodstock was like 19th or the 18th, and I
Yeah,
just said,
right.
yeah, I had to stick my thumb out and get back to Wisconsin, and I did. Truck driver picked me up out of what was it? Not 101. What's the highway out there?
Like, well, there's the 405, there's
The
the
405. He picked me
yeah.
up. There was a place I went to. I don't even know the name of it. Truck stop, because that's where I knew I'd get the rides, and and he got me back all the way to shit. All the other way on his other side of Nebraska, and then I picked up another ride there all the way into Illinois. So that's how that all went down.
Okay, so now you're making me curious about how you grew up. Were you, what was your family like? Did you have siblings, and where did you grow up?
I I grew up on west side of Chicago,
Okay.
Italian neighborhood. Um, my name's Mason. My father's from Scotland. My mother's from Italy, and so we lived on the west side of Chicago, Italian neighborhood. So I never knew my dad. Never knew. Whatever my mom did at the time. My mom's beautiful. I love her to death. She's 93 now, or
Oh, cool.
just beautiful. Oh, hard-headed Italian. Totally, totally just Italian. I can tell you. So, but yeah, that's how I grew up. I grew up on the west side. As almost a little kid, kind of a punk, running around, stealing produce up and down Chicago and Pulaski Avenue and creating problems and going to. I was whipped by nuns.
Oh.
The Catholic religion, and God, that's what that's what we did. We were installed. The nuns really, they didn't put up with anything back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the fire hit, and then that was it. When the school fire happened, the neighborhood fell apart.
Oh.
Because I was in Our Lady of Angels fire. So
I don't know about that.
well, the Our Lady of Angels fire is a very prominent fire. It killed 95 students and 3 nuns. So I was more of a witness, but our whole families and family members went there and everything. Luckily, we all escaped. So I was like, basically, they call me a survivor, or more of a witness. But the neighborhood broke up.
5 kids. How does that even happen? I mean, didn't people run out, or did it just blow up, or?
Well, it's just back in the day. It's the kind of construction features involved, the limited amount of notification systems, not like you have today.
No.
This is when schools were made out of brick, mortar, high varnished banisters and things like that. And the fire just got caught in the janitor's closet downstairs. Is the way they say it went. It went up and got caught in the cock loft up top, and ended up trapping 95 children.
Wow, that is.
Yeah, it's a very famous fire.
Oh.
So anyways, that's what happened. It dissolved the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we moved on, and then we moved to another Italian neighborhood in Elmwood Park, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago. Elmwood Park, Melrose Park. So
Yeah.
and I guess that's where my life
began. Right. When did you start playing guitar?
I probably started in when the Beatles came out.
Okay, that was
we
63 or something. Or?
Yeah, we all wanted to be the Beatles. We were going to high school or grade school, and get a guitar. We had little bands and stuff, garage bands we worked with. And little did you know that all these bands that were going up all over in our neighborhood, through Oak Lawn, Elmwood Park, all these areas developed groups that came out of there. The Buckinghams, the Crying Shames, Chicago. At that time, Chicago Transitory. So we were all Shadows of Night. We were all kind of practicing these art forms all over, and we would kind of cross over. And some of them became famous, and I starved to death. I never did. So, Chicago became Chicago, and Shadows of Night did great. That's what it was. It was rock. It was rock, and then it went to progressive rock music, and that's how that all. I just kept as a guitar player. That's what I did,
Yeah. Were you at all into jazz when you were playing guitar, or did that come for the flute?
The jazz came with the flute.
Yeah.
More the flute playing when I was turned on to Roland Kirk Coltrane. I had started getting those developments while I was making progressive rock music.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of improvisation.
Yeah, I was just going to say progressive rock. Yeah, I mean, I can see the connection, how that would happen. Yeah,
absolutely. We were, totally inundated by, Love Supreme, Coltrane's record. It started hitting us all back then as players. So I started leaving that genre. I left it and then started organizing my own quintets and quartets. Taking some big risks. That's why I was starving to death.
And then I'm sorry, I don't know about the fire. When that's why I mean I don't thoroughly
pretty crazy
know about the person before I interview them, because I like to have a conversation that's in the moment. So, but I do see that you're like your moniker on in your email and stuff has something to do with fire. Now, what is that?
Fireflute.com. It's just what it means, is that I was a flutist, but I'm also a firefighter.
Okay.
So not now, I'm retired. I've been retired for almost 10 years. Actual firefighting. I still teach firefighters along with my music and stuff when I get a chance. But I've been blessed, man. Yeah, I've had 2 incredible professions, and it's been a great run. It's been unbelievable. Yeah, how did it happen? I just had a couple of brothers in Chicago Fire Department, guys that I knew, and I was playing jazz on the streets of Chicago, jazz clubs, basically starving to death, from one gig to another. And they said, "Hey, Mike, you'd be a good fireman." And I'm like, "What? You got to be kidding me." And he said, "Yeah, come on, man, ride with us, ride with us." And so that's what I did. I went down to a few houses with these guys. They let me ride with them, and I was hooked. I said, "Wow, this is really nice. I can help people, something to do." And the other side of the coin to that was, you got 24 on, 48 off. And they said, "Well, 24 on, you're a firefighter, and 48 off, you play your music." And I went, "Wow, so I can make a living, survive." And that's what pushed me into those directions. So it was nothing profound. It was to live.
You would think that your history of the school fire would have been part of your decision.
People ask me that all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it was subconscious. Yeah. I don't know. Life's weird, isn't it? As a turn of the page. Yeah. But so that's how that happened. That's how it came about. But I still played a lot of jazz. Bill Baskel, my manager and stuff, he's been with me for many, many years. There would be dates we'd be going out and doing. I have to come back and get back to shift on time. And, still a lot of nightclub dates, jazz dates, festival dates, things like that. So, but like I said, I took a 9-year, 10-year hiatus before I recreated or started writing again. And now this is totally different. I've incorporated a lot of musical entities from all over the world. And that's what now it's the jazz and world music combined. So if you have to give categories, I hate categories, but.
Yeah, well, what we heard was really cool. It was, I guess, it was a raga. And did you mention before we came on the drum called hand?
The hung drum is the hung. They call it the hung. Was the original name of these drums. We have several here, and I've got several percussion players that help me play these things.
Can we see one? Can you bring one over, or can turn the laptop or something?
Oh, this is one out of Russia.
Ooh. Oh.
Okay. This is known as a Bob.
Drums, yeah. Huh? I know these kind of drums, a percussion.
Yeah, they look like spaceships,
Yeah, yeah.
But they create incredible moods and modalities. So you see how Beautiful. You can get, so I was swayed by this after playing jazz and world music and doing all these, musical forms. And when I found these drums, I said, you know what, I'm really going to get into it. So I practiced for about 3 years. And then I said, well, I can't do both. I can't play the flute and the drums at the same time, and I brought a couple of players in. One of my good buddies that I play with is he's on the album, Danny Gosselin. And he's got, he was a drummer.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, man, would you mind coming by and tapping on these things? I know you can keep a beat. So that's all that happened. So you notice the album, a lot of the records I use have a tremendous amount of percussion, things that go on. Only because I really believe that, the drum and the flute were the first instruments ever introduced into the world, besides the voice. In fact, the drum came first, someone beating on something for communication, and then the flute. And the only reason why not per se the flute today, but the flute that was pulled out of water, out of some shoot of bamboo, and put some holes in it somewhere back in 9,000 years ago. so here we are. So I don't know if that answers your question.
I forget what my question was. I play the flute, but I'm
There
not.
you go. You're probably a
great
lot
at
better than I am.
No, no, no. I'm not great at. I went to Berkeley when I was 20 or something, and
Awesome.
I had played flute, but I was always a singer, and
That's
I was
right.
just getting into over the level that you actually make music, flute.
Right.
And then I don't know, for some reason I just thought, well, I'm going to be a singer, and shut down on the flute. But I took a lesson last year, and I was excited, but I'm just one of those people with a lot of things happening, and so I didn't continue practicing. But I really love the flute. Actually, I would like to play alto flute, and a friend of mine was going to loan me an alto flute, but
They're nice.
it's just, wow, what a beautiful, there's a real connection for alto.
Tone.
Yeah.
It's deeper. It has
Yeah.
a more ethereal, deeper sound, That's
Yeah.
why I always like the low end on the flute more than I like the high end. It's 'cause it's more breathy. It's more, you're more relaxed.
Yeah. I've been to Japan a lot, and in the early days, I met John Neptune. Do you know him?
No, maybe I don't know him, but musician.
He's a flutist, and
So many
he's
great players.
played. Well, he played a lot in Japan, but I think like in Asia and that area of the world, he's played a lot. He's still around, but I don't run into him very much at all. But I just wondered if you might know him because
No, he's obviously a modern player. He's playing a standard flute. Nothing.
he probably plays a shakuhachi.
Oh, he does play shakas.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. For
Difficult.
the most part, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
James Newton is one of my teachers and a good friend of mine. We played in the hills in the Jemez Mountains in New Mexico.
Oh.
He had, again, this is another turn of the page where he had offered up some master classes. James Newton is probably one of the most prominent flutists in jazz
Yeah.
and composition. Have you heard of him?
Oh, absolutely. I know him.
Absolutely. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Wow. So Jimmy, I applied to come out to visit him out in New Mexico. So he had this, I don't know, whatever. He was holding some master classes, and about 9 or 10 of us, he had pulled out and said, we're going to go to the Jemez Mountains up outside of New Mexico, and outside of Albuquerque, and we stayed with him up there for 10 days in the mountains, and we were playing in caves.
Wow.
The caves up in New Mexico.
Wow.
So I learned a lot from him, and I imitated him a lot. When I had heard his jazz records, and some of the incredible Ellington pieces he was doing, Strayhorn, and so he was a huge influence on me.
Wow.
So I was up there with him. So yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Incredible player.
That's great. I want to hear a little bit more music. So I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to hear some more from Human Revolution. Here's one, Inertia.
We don't. Got it fly.
Nice. That's really beautiful.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, when I find myself wanting to sing, I know I really like it.
Oh, that's good. I'm
I want
glad.
to jump in and sing. Can you tell us about the band here?
The group is a series of musicians. Obviously, I played with on and off throughout the years. So Scott Ashley is on guitar. Just to start off with these guys. Scott's been on several of my jazz recordings. Fantastic studio musician. Aris Viscus is from Lithuania. He's a percussionist. And this, you talk about one strange cat. You go out to his house. He has a house. His mother passed away, but he has about 5 acres. And you can go out there, and all he does is he plays all these weird percussion instruments. In fact, he cuts things out of trees, hollows them out. You walk around his property, and you just bang on stuff. And you get he's an incredible percussion player.
Wow.
He has so many different percussion instruments. Danny Gosselin is a drummer out of Chicago, and he's been in several cover bands and stuff. So he's got a tremendous amount of drumming experience. But I moved him over to these hung percussion instruments.
Oh.
And now on the latest albums we're getting onto, he'll be going back to what we call sticks, but he'll be on what we maybe like an octopad or something like that. So Geoff Lowe is an incredible bassist out of Chicago. We go back a long ways. Our associations are with I don't know if you know Steve Rodby, let's say from Cathy. Bloom School of Jazz is, we were heavily involved with that out of Chicago. So, and then, he's one of the premier bassists. He's in demand all over the place. Jose Natal is from Cuba. I believe it's Cuba. right. Yeah. And he's a, island percussion type player, African percussion player. Dave Rice is on keyboards, and another big guy out here on piano, grand piano, and Jeff Rutter on electric guitars also. So next album, I pretty much a lot of the same players, but the next album will have Fareed Haag. Fareed Haag is an incredible guitarist. He's on several labels. I'm not even sure who he's recording with, but I had to pull him in because I had a couple of crazy tunes I was doing. I wanted a good nylon string player, so I don't know. I just kind of wing it a lot of times.
Gee, surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well,
You're not an improviser person at all.
No, really? Yeah, that's a habit, isn't it?
Definitely. Once you're born and it's like, bing, you're an improviser person. And it's like, okay, that's it.
I sit here in this room and I come up with these crazy sketches, and I drag these guys in here and I say, listen, this is what I want you to do. And they're like, what? But then, they're fine. They get it. They love it. A lot of things are time signatures, that are 7, 8, 9, 12, things like that, 5/4, all that stuff. And yeah, there's some 4 stuff, but it's my influences. We're all influenced.
Sure.
In one way or another. I don't think is it original? Yes, it's original, but it had to come from somewhere.
Yeah. We have a friend out. Well, he lived out here for a long time. He just moved up to Seattle, around Seattle, but his name is Brad Dutz, and he is a percussionist. Sounds a little bit like your ARAS person. Real kind of when he was younger, he was super crazy, and then he actually calmed down a bit. But he has many percussion instruments. He had a series here for a few years actually that was in a very funky little artist place. And he would have all kinds of great abstract players, like real top players would come there.
Oh, yeah.
Just a funky little place. And Brad's groups kind of had these, he would sketch out pieces, time signatures and, play this for this long and then that, and then right. They have little lines But real interesting guy. You would probably, if you lived near him, you probably would have some musical rapport with him as well.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we do. And, I play, a lot of my stuff's created on piano. But then also the hung drums provide me a lot of the modalities.
Those are so beautiful. Actually, that's where I first heard it, with Brad.
Yes. Okay,
yeah,
so these are Rob's. Hungs are a little different. Like here, I'll give you. See, the hungs are bigger.
Yeah.
These are really a different tonality. There's a lot of makers. You got to understand, this instrument was introduced as this is one of the newest instruments in the world. It was designed and put out in 2001. And this is something that, but I mean, some of these things are just, like these two.
So E flat?
D flat. I believe it leans towards a D flat major.
Love that. That is beautiful.
All these things are in all. I have probably 10 different drums, and if I get any more, my wife will kill me.
I know they're expensive because I remember Brad telling me that.
$3,000 maybe somewhere there, but and when you run into these things, you just It's about the music, man.
And
So,
they're in different keys, right? They're made in
different keys, different modalities. You know, I've got several different things, which help then also create music. Sometimes I'll just come up with a bass line.
Yeah.
And then I'll just, start sifting through things, and I'm like, oh man, this sounds cool. And I can't call the guys out until I got something that they're going to be able to comprehend, and well, not that they can't comprehend, but that they'll enjoy. You want music to be joyful no matter what, the best it could be. So, but yeah, that's different one.
That sounds beautiful. I'm gonna have to sing with that with you. Maybe let's do something or collaborate, because that sounds gorgeous.
We can do something. Maybe I can. If I ever become famous.
You mean I have to wait till then?
Trust me, there's not much time left. But, I'll send you one.
Well, better yet, send me a track and I'll sing on it.
That's true. We can do that.
Yeah, because especially that key, that really
that
resonates
key.
with me. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I got a lot of keys here. A lot of modalities.
That one especially is nice.
In fact, the album, the Human Revolution, has that key involved in it heavily. The new album has a lot of that.
Huh.
So it's.
Now, remember when Paul Winter came out with?
Oh yeah.
That whole thing to the whales and the
exactly
key of the earth or the key of nature or something.
Key of nature.
That was very attractive to me. I thought that was really beautiful.
Well, think about, this is a man that he was from the West Coast, isn't he?
I don't know. He's very active right now.
Paul? All right, who am I thinking of?
Paul Winter was like flautist and
yeah, but I thought there was another flute player that was, I don't know, he played to the whales and everything else he did also.
I think, I don't know.
Paul Horn? Was it Paul Horn?
Oh, Paul Horn. Yeah, maybe Paul Horn.
Yeah, because he had passed away. I ran into him in what the hell was it? I think it was up in Wisconsin. We were doing a college thing, but yeah, it was Paul Horn. He just passed away, I believe, recently in the last couple of years.
Paul Horn. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he was a flute player. So
yeah, you would really like what Paul Winter is doing right now.
Oh yeah.
He's doing these projects, and you can see them, watch them online, and
I'll do it. I'll do it tomorrow.
Really nice.
I know Paul Winter. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We get so sidetracked in life, we can't keep track. Man, if I could just wake up from 8 to 8, 24 hours listening to other people play, I get more enjoyment than I did. I listen to my music, by the way. Once I do it,
yeah,
I have a bad habit. I never want to hear it again.
Well, I know other people like that.
You know what I'm saying? I'm moving. I'm on to the next thing. So just for me to listen to some of these tracks you're playing, I'm already nitpicking me in. God,
I have a friend, Larry Kuntz, who's a really great guitar player here, and he's used a lot. So he's on a lot of projects, and he said, well, he and I and a piano player, Josh Nelson, did a very nice project called Dreamsville a few years ago. And he said, I don't listen to myself on a lot of projects. He said, but I keep listening to Dreamsville because I really like what happened, between
the overall tonality or the music, right? Yeah. But I can't. I don't know. It's just very strange. I just want to move on.
Well, that's cool. My friend Roland, who's here, he's a big fan, and I call him a hidden guitarist. He has 13 guitars at home, and
I'm a hidden flute player.
Yeah, but you're out playing. He's not out playing. But anyway.
No, we're not playing much. This pandemic is really creative. Yeah. No.
Well, anyway, he bought your record.
Oh, did he? Tell him thank you.
He's listening, so thank you, Llewellyn. He
That's awesome.
and he actually also was familiar with Shogun by John Neptune, and
Mm.
he said your music takes him back to his college years at Queens College in New York City.
Queens College. Been through there. It's been wow. Had family out there in New York.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, that's where we all came through. Basically, not me, but our first generation people. Ellis Island. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
that's how old I am. I mean, I didn't come through Ellis, but my mother.
Well, yeah, you didn't come through Ellis Island. Okay, come on.
No, but how did we all get here?
My people came from Russia, so they came through
There you go.
there too. Yeah, I actually grew up in Boston, so
Boston,
yeah,
another place I love.
yeah.
Yeah, I was in Boston for 3 years.
Oh,
Yeah, but I was playing music in some, who was out there? We did some Berkeley stuff, out there. And then, but I was out there for other reasons, was that I was a firefighter. I went to Boston Fire Academy.
oh,
When I was going through that transition in 83, 85, somewhere there. And then I worked for an ambulance service to keep me alive out there until they called me back to Chicago to finally get me a full-time career job.
wow.
Oh, yeah. Boston. We love Boston.
I know Boston. It's a great town.
Too expensive.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of towns like that. But yeah, I mean, when I go back there, I'm always like, wow, I grew up here. This is so friggin' cool. What a great environment. And, there's like something like 75 colleges there. So it's like full of.
It's unbelievable. You go there to Cambridge and Harvard across the river there, in Chelsea. And then you got, I lived in Brookline.
Really? I'm from Newton.
Yeah, so Brookline was where I had places, because I think it was the Orange Line I could hop on to get to work, to go to Boston Mass General, because that's where the ambulances came out of. That's all I remember about it. But yeah, we played a lot of late night gigs at different places. There was some really weird strip clubs. Downtown. Do you remember that section?
Of course, the Combat Zone.
Yes,
that's what we called it. Yeah. I think actually when you were there, it was probably called the Combat Zone. Still,
I think it was. Yeah. And I was like shocked that so close. We had this. Well, the first lady, in order for me to get an apartment, I rented an apartment from a lady of the evening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she provided me. She was, I guess, I hate to use the word stripper, but she was an entertainer. So, and that's how I was able to afford to stay out there for as long as I did. So It was good. She was kind. I had no intimate relationship with her whatsoever. Than she had her and her husband or whatever. They owned a couple of apartments there off of Commonwealth. Actually, no, it was Commonwealth. Geez, Boylston.
Okay.
Boylston Street.
Yeah.
I think that's even where the clubs were on, weren't they?
Downtown, yeah, because Boylston was a long street. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to sit there and get together and sit on John Adams' grave in the center of town on its flagstone. Man.
I remember when so I'm like just a few years younger than you. So
you look a lot younger than me.
I'm not. I'm 68. So
what?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So I remember, that period of time in the college days, that was music. I always say this, but it's true. The music of the day and in Boston was absolutely incredibly versatile. There was I was into Miles Davis kind of blue, but I was into Weather Report and the blue John Mayall, and there was so much richness going on. And if you were working, which of course I was singing in, like a band that covered all of that. So
Wow.
you were, you kind of ate that every day. And I just remember one day I was so young. I was down on the Commons, the Boston Commons,
Mhm.
and I had learned the Buddy Miles thing that ba ba do dee da 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 do da do da
Yeah,
da
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And
Buddy Miles.
yeah, and I went down there and I was hanging out and I closed my eyes and I just let it loose. And when I opened my eyes, I had this whole group of people around me.
Wow.
I was so like, I was so young and,
Wow, back then, man.
that was a,
Flourishing time of music. I mean, just, the industry was much more wide open in a much more different way than it is today.
way different.
I'm not even, I got a lot of guys who are sitting around right now watching me talk to you. But in any case, they're like, yeah, I mean, I don't, yeah. She says hi. But they're like, I mean, I'm not connected technology wise. That's, in order for me to even do all this, I got my good buddy Bruce here. He's my IT guy, so I can understand what the hell I'm doing. I got a photographer here that knows how to work cameras. I'm a primitive soul, man. So, yeah, this is crazy times. For
Yeah.
us to get the notoriety that we're getting, and we're grateful to you and everyone else that really loves the album. But it's all done through streaming and a lot of these things that are occurring, Facebook streaming, Twitter, all this stuff. I don't go on social media. I find it worrisome sometimes to be involved with it. So, and that's why I got some buffers like Bill Batskill Management or Ralph Lampkin. Tell me what I got to do, and do what we can. We're not rich. The way I look at it, we're still starving players out this way in what we do. We're just grateful that people are listening. Hey, if something becomes, I got 2 Grammy nominations from John. Which 2 albums was that? That was Exploration and Visionary. It was a Coltrane project, and then another thing, way back in the day.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, but I left that scene.
Uh-huh.
I took a long break.
Wow.
So 10 years later, now I'm talking to you.
It's amazing. Yeah, life is really, really an interesting
I'm just glad I'm still above ground.
By the way, a friend of yours says to say hello. I sent him a message. He's not home. He's not watching, but Paulinho Garcia.
Where is that bum?
He lives here now.
Oh, is he there? Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. And
the wife, just tell him me and the wife enjoyed the concert at Glen Ellen Jazz Festival a couple of years ago. And I did stop backstage or something, whatever it is, and said hello. But Paulinho and I were on Southport Records.
Oh yeah, right.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It was a Chicago. Yeah, I mean, with Sparrow and Joni and all that. That's how I know Paulinho. What a beautiful man. Unbelievable.
Beautiful. I love him so much. He's such a great soul. Beautiful singer, musician. Just he's so special.
Really. We saw him also at what the hell was it? The Jazz Showcase. He was down there doing some stuff a few years ago. Wow, tell him I said hi. I haven't seen him in ages, but tell him, hey man, we're hooking up with Fareed Hogg on, say, hey, Fareed's in on the next album called Transcendence.
What is his last name, Fareed?
Fareed Hogg.
H-A.
What is it? There's a double E in there. Double A. Fareed Hogg. Hogg.
With a G.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it is. Yeah, no, he'll know who he is right away.
Okay.
And if Paulinho was still around, I probably would have reached out to him, but you got to understand that. So, tell him,
Well,
I
he
should have
does go
went to,
back, just so you know, he does go back to Chicago every now and then,
yes, he
for
does.
gigs and stuff. But I mean, of course he moved here, basically I think for weather purposes.
That's what I want to do.
You do?
Oh yeah, I would do anything to get away from the weather here.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Then I got to go out to you, and I got to deal with forest fires. So, thank God. I know something about firefighting, but I don't know nothing about that. That's incredible. It's a whole different animal
Oh, yeah.
than structural firefighting.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah.
So just curious, while while you've been firefighting and you consciously decided to stop. I mean, I'm sure you didn't stop entirely playing, but stopped.
No, I practiced every day.
But you stopped kind of gigging or
Gigging and gigging. I stopped writing for a while. I was just listening, to the world of music and seeing how things were changing and what I was doing and getting inspired by certain things. Because I was an officer on a trucking squad. I had huge responsibilities, but every day I would practice. In fact, the guys at the station thought, are you crazy? I'd be practicing my flute up in hose towers. Where you hang the hose to dry it. I'd be up there blowing notes at weird hours of the night and stuff like that. And they just, that's just Mike. He's making on those ungodly sounds, whatever. And but I still played. I still had many gigs in the early years for my transfer from into firefighting, and then, so.
Yeah. But then you said you actually basically took a sabbatical from it.
Sabbatical, not from the flute playing. I
Oh,
always practice my technique. I always, but yeah.
so from gigging, basically.
From everything, yes.
Yeah.
It was too much. It was just too much.
Yeah. And then, so then you retired and you kind of planned it or thought about it,
Yes.
retiring and then getting back into music.
I knew I was going to go back
Yeah.
to putting albums out and playing again. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you traveled around the world? And
nothing like we used to. Mostly the States.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we would have concerts and stuff. A few out of state festivals, but nothing major. And then, when I got back into this, I thought, well, great, we'll create this, we'll do this. I'm going to pull in my players. I got ideas for composition. It took me 3 years to write some of this stuff, or compose it to a point where I would get it. And then the influx of the hum drums changed my direction. Yeah. So then I went back to square one, thinking, well, no, man, I really like this. So it took a while to put everything together. So now everything's just happening in a very different way. So.
Yeah, it's very interesting time period. And plus the addition of what you've been going through, it just kind of, to me, it's significant and it adds more of improvisational, the nature of life anyway, but more of it for you because you're starting again anyway. And oh wow, it's a very interesting time period for you.
Well, it's spiritual in a way,
Yeah.
it's, you got to understand, your life gets full of emotions at different times, of different things. And then certain things, move you. And I think it's really important, and the people you deal with, the musicians you deal with,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
are they going to be able to accept me? Like Jeff Lowe, I mean, he's been playing on records and we've been playing it. He's seen a lot of this transformation.
I'm sorry, who did you say?
Jeff Lowe, he's one of my bassists. And I've
Yeah.
had several bassists, on many recordings, but some of these musicians that have witnessed me going through these transformations, uh, they don't even believe it that I've gone to this way in this direction, so to speak, you know. So, but it's good. It's a good thing.
Why don't they, if you don't mind me asking, why don't they believe it? Why?
I've been all over the gamut, man. I've been from progressive rock with Hawkwind and King Crimson. These are a lot of my players that, you know, we had played on and off with. And then from this to that, and then to, you know, Train and Miles Davis and all these quintets I put together. And, you know, I mean, just watching me go through all this craziness and then to disappear for 8-9 years and then come back and finding these players again going, yeah, this is what I'm doing now, you know. And then they're like, holy crap, where are you, what? But they love it. It's a good thing. They love it. They want to be a part of it. That's all that matters. So
well, I mean, if it doesn't change, it's kind of, you know how people always tell you, oh, jazz is dead. You know, it's like, no, jazz is not dead. Jazz is reflecting what's going on in the world. That's, it always has, you know. And
you know, what the more important thing is that, you know, if you got rid of all the titles.
Yeah. You mean, you know, like the style, the genres?
Yeah. Music is not dead. Period. You know, whether it's hip hop, whether it's this, whether it's soul, R&B. You know, all you need to do is listen to a freaking hip hop thing right now, and you can see things that are transforming. You can look at the jazz world; it's incorporating hip hop or an R&B lick or something like that. This is now totally connected. I mean, this world is. It's instant. What I don't like about it is it's instant gratification.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But what's great about it is there's instant connection. You know, like, I mean, all I need to do is, I mean, we're all over the place. This is insanity. It's and so, yeah, forget the label. I mean, yeah, it's jazz. You can call it this, call it that. But I think now the music is really, it's doing some incredible things.
Yeah.
Developing things, you know.
I think so too. I think it's really amazing.
So yeah, when you tell me you want to sing, then we'll get some hung drum. Let's do it. Whatever.
Okay. Yeah, that D flat really spoke to me.
D flat. I think, yeah, it leans towards the D flat modal. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, that's right kind of in the middle of me.
Yeah, well, think about it though.
Right there, yeah.
As a jazz singer, flat's good.
Yeah, I mean, I've sung all different kinds of stuff, and, you know, growing up in the Motown period, and I was really into that. My dad was a sax player, and but I really like abstract stuff, and but of course, you know, as a jazz singer coming up, I have a love for the Great American Songbook, and I write.
Aren't you going to go back in the studio, right?
Well, I just did, you know, so this one is coming.
Yes, I like the cover.
Thank you. That's it's on Origin, and John Bishop kind of cover together. He's the graphic artist. Although this idea of the hands. What
studio, or just in-house, or?
This studio for this one was one of the better studios in LA, called The Hideaway. And
is that in Hollywood?
It's actually in Chatsworth. It's in the bottom of this guy's house. The studio was originally in Burbank, and
so you're further
Andy
north.
Waterman was a really well-known engineer who owned the studio, and he actually he sold the studio. He moved to Chatsworth, and he built a studio in the bottom of his house, and he had the piano, and, you know, it was just a really, really good studio. And then he wanted to move to Nashville, so he sold the whole thing to this young.
He's in Nashville.
He went to Nashville, but he sold
another studio there.
I'm not sure. I haven't totally followed what Andy's doing.
Music
But
capital of the world.
he sold it to this guy, Eric Astor, who is a young man with two young children. And Eric was one of his engineers. So this studio is really good, just beautiful. And Eric is a really good engineer. Now, this is volume 1. I also did volume 2, which will, obviously come out after volume 1. But that one was done at Tally Sherwood studio in kind of Burbank area. But Tally is a good friend of Lee Sklar's.
Really?
Yeah, and Lee records there.
I mean, Lee Sklar. I'm talking. We're going back to 60s. Lee.
Yeah, it's just kind of, of course, we're all connected.
You know who else is with him? Was Danny Kuchmar.
Danny Kuchmar.
Yeah, the guitar player.
Yeah, that sounds really familiar.
Well, he was James Taylor's one of his guitarists on the early albums, and I didn't even know who these guys were. Remember this one? I was sleeping in a garage across from the Canyon store at this guy's place that put us up for a couple of months.
Those were the days. Hey, so my friend sent me these credits, but I think some of them are you and some of them maybe aren't.
I don't know. I can't even see
these. Can you see these? Like, here's one where it says Visionary. That's yours, right? Visionary.
Yes. Visionary is the Coltrane project. And Exploration is another project on these labels are on Southport Records, I believe. Yes.
And Deluge
is on Southport. I made a whole series of albums on Southport.
And this one says Signal. That was in 2004.
It was the latest. And I found it. I was in the avant-garde. I knew a bunch of musicians that were with the AACM. I don't know if you know who they are.
No.
The Advancement and Association of Creative Musicians.
Oh.
We had a lot of African influences. Most of these players were phenomenal exploration type players. Nicole Mitchell, well, she's one of the latest, but Fred Anderson and Harrison Bankhead, all these guys, Douglas Ewart, Cecil Taylor. I mean, these are avant-garde players that we had created several records with. And some of those don't even show up here because we've been on different labels. So,
well, that's yeah, like there's other stuff, but like I'm just thinking maybe not, like I'll mention some names: Jenema James, the Jesters, Bella Fleck, Jesse Dixon.
Fleck and the Black Dawns. Yeah, I
think sometimes this is from All Music, and I think sometimes they mix stuff, but the Paragons. Yeah, I think some of this is from the other person, but some of it is you. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. Thanks, Dan, for showing that to us. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, you've mentioned spiritual connotation, which definitely is close to my heart. I mean, I'm way down that rabbit hole, and I just feel if you're living in the moment, which obviously you are, that that's what it's all about, and that's what spiritual is, and that's why this is religion to me, because it
the moment, the present, moment. It has to be.
Yeah.
We forget. Everyone's so based on thinking ahead all the time, and never bother to stop, and just say, hey man, this 1 second here or this 1 minute in my life is something that I should maybe stop and enjoy. Everyone is busy, aren't they, about going somewhere or going in some direction constantly. And it's not we're living in a world now where everything is instant gratification. It's beyond the point of contemplating something. We're just saying, hey, I want this now, I do this now. You know, I've learned to stop. I've learned to slow up, you know, and say, hey, this is not, there's other things that are important, you know. Any living creature is important for the moment, really, you know. Look at my dog, you know, I got a dog here. His name's Buddy, you know. Yeah, the best thing he does is just, you know, lay around. That's all he does. He's a golden retriever. Me and the wife have been up with Goldens. This guy's a super dog. He sits there, puts up with my lousy flute playing every day. My wife does too, by the way. She's heard every bad note I've ever done for the last 25, 26 years. But and he doesn't ask a lot. But you know what? I take him for granted. You know, just like maybe I take that glass of water for granted. You know, sometimes I take friendships for granted. You know, and that's not good. You know, we got to. Oh, whoa! Wait a minute. Scary.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Yeah, it just kind of comes and goes, doesn't it? It comes into your awareness and then it goes. And then you're doing whatever, taking for granted things. Yeah.
So where the moment is well, Buddhism is a lot like that, man. You know, we are all subject to suffering no matter what. You know, we have a life of suffering. This is not an easy world, and we have to, you know, understand that suffering is the flip side of joy, and suffering could bring us joy. Also, lessons learned. You know, so there's so many things. You know, but if we don't slow down, we're missing the whole picture here. You know, I couldn't tell you. I hope there's something beyond where we're at. I mean, I was indulged with, you know, the Catholic religion. You know, it was not the introductory into it was fear. You know, when I was young, when I was a boy, when I was a little boy, fear of this, the fear of that, the fear. And that's not what this is really. I don't think that's what this is about. And sometimes I wonder why, you know, a lot of religions have gotten off the track. You know, it's called, well, you know what? Every religion could be called an extremism. You know, you know, I know ISIS really is bad stuff. But during some times of the years in history and everything, you know, Catholicism was some pretty heavy, bad stuff, you know, so you can name them all, you know, so I don't know. Peace, love, you know, it was, well, the 60s were long gone, but they're here. If it wasn't for this generation,
yeah,
what you and I went through, I don't really believe we would have the concepts we have today.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? So
that was a heavy period. And again, it was when we were in college in those days. And that's why I think it's really interesting. Like, I notice over the years that there are these periods of time, months, or maybe a few years, where everybody is taking a certain person's music or, you know, and playing it and recording it. Like for a while, Monk, you know, like so many people were doing Monk, right? For like a period of a few years, I think. And now, especially with vocalists, but people are taking music from the 70s and in the 90s. As a matter of fact, that's what my record has done. I took at least three songs from that period of time, then you know, a few more from as the years progressed. But there's something, like you said, that period of time had the same things as we have now, but now it seems like a higher level of awareness about it. So but it was like the horror of what was going on in the world, right? And the pain,
Oh, yeah.
loss, but hope too,
Right.
right? We,
Right.
like you said, peace and love. I mean, that was the driving point of view, right? Peace and
Right.
love is going to bring us through. And I think it's the same thing right now. That's what we have. And we were kind of forced into experiencing all of this, but people just really need that right now. It's just, wow, it's just so much unknown stuff happening.
It's unbelievable. Yes, we should be. I know it's so cliche to say, "Oh, peace, love," all this stuff, but that's what we need. We have never left that position. Anybody you call them, a lot of people call them what, baby boomers? Is that what it is? Whatever. We opened up a can of worms, and that can of worms had to eventually, be known to society. And we opened up a lot of doors. I mean, not only that, but musically, the exploration and the wide open avenues of music back then. There was none of this, total capitalistic view
Yeah.
of, controlling. Even I even worry about NARAS today. The National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. What they acknowledge and what they don't. Back then, there was a lot of things happening, and the fields were wide open, and people were much more expressive and much more accepting, and record producers and everything would take a chance. Not only would they take a chance, they were moved by what they were hearing, whether it was Joni Mitchell, Jackson Brown. These were early on, James Taylor, all these guys that even the Beatles, when you look at it, I mean, the connection between Taylor and Abbey Road Studios, I mean, that was crazy. So yeah, Woodstock.
This year I saw the Summer of Soul too, and I cried.
Hey, you know what? I wanted to see that.
It's on Hulu if you have Hulu. But
I can get it.
I cried a lot, man.
Yeah. That was 68?
It was the same summer as Woodstock.
Right. Yeah, 69.
69,
right.
Yeah.
But it went unnoticed.
Except for the 50,000 people who were there.
Yeah. What was with that? It was, so that was how did that happen? How did that get buried? Is this racial crap going on?
There was 50,000 people, a lot, I would say probably most of them were Black,
of course,
who came to the park. And it was groups from Mahalia Jackson to Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Sly Stone.
Sly. I mean, it was really significant, and
tremendously. How many things happened because of Motown?
Yeah.
Well, it's got its capitalistic nature too, very gory.
It did, but I mean, still, it was life-changing.
Very much. We listened to it all the time.
Yeah.
All my early bands at Sock House, man, we had to learn, hey man, we gotta learn the latest Sam and Dave tune. On the soul, man. That's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been watching the Aretha. There's an Aretha documentary too, on Hulu, which is the Amazing Grace, which they made a record out of. And
a movie's coming out for Respect, or what is it?
It's already out, actually.
It is. See, what do I know?
I didn't see it yet, but I did.
I don't go anywhere. I don't like leaving the house. It's too disappointing.
I did see this. I did see this one though, because this one, it was early on. I forget the year, but it was early, relatively early. She wasn't that old, but she was famous. But she went back to Chicago. Wait, no, Los Angeles. She came to Los Angeles, and she wanted to record a gospel record. And so she set it up with Reverend James Cleveland here. Yeah, and she had the choir singing, and it was just like they invited their congregation and they recorded, and somehow the film just didn't. It just never got out. It never, And so anyway, it was just. It's really it's wonderful to watch.
So it's called Amazing
Grace. Yeah.
On Hulu.
On Hulu, yeah.
Isn't it on another channel?
No.
I thought it was. No.
Not that I found. I think it's only on Hulu.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good. Let's see. Let's hear another one of your cuts.
What are we gonna play? Play. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Why don't you go for a tribute to Hong Massett? These are the guys that I first picked up. This will really relaxing type of thing, but this is how we picked up the Hong drums when I was first starting out.
Cool.
And I introduced it. And Gosselin on this one. Thanks again.
Hey, Michael, I'm adding a little percussion.
I'll do it. You're on the next track. Let's get you doing some vocal narrative on the third album.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I can't hear you. What did you say?
I have to get you on some third stuff for the third album.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Maybe just some free scat work,
Yeah. I love this. It's really beautiful. One thing I really like about this, there are these long moments. Like I am a singer who likes long intros because I like how the band creates in those intros. It's not just like a 4-bar intro and hey, here I am, the singer. It's like, you want to be part of the music and there's a palette that's created,
Or layering all the time.
Yeah, and that's what this has. It's really, and it has rhythm, which is really important. And this is, by the way, the picture of the beach is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, what great cover.
I forgot. A friend of ours took these pictures from his friend's wife. They had this Lake Michigan house
Oh,
And this is what they look at. You
Oh.
believe that? Are you kidding me?
gorgeous.
Well, the second album coming out is called Transcendence.
Oh,
And it has another similar view, but this is of the skies and stuff. And then we have the third one that's coming out. It's called Impermanent, meaning change. We're hoping that that's going to have this black moonlight picture hitting over the waters, you know.
beautiful.
And then when I get those three done, then I don't care what happens to me.
You know, this reminds me, this, you know, the cover art reminds me a little bit of Meredith D'Ambrosio's art. Meredith D'Ambrosio is a great singer, jazz singer.
Yes.
He's
Does that work like this? I didn't even know that.
she's 80 years old,
Oh,
and she, while we
right
listen
behind
to,
her.
let me show you something as we're listening to this, and I'll show you why I said this about her art is really gorgeous, and but there's she does this beautiful thing with sky and ground, like this, for instance.
Oh yeah. These
Does
are
a lot-
these are the types of album covers. The reason I got into this type of work was, have you ever, the ECM records?
Oh yeah, ECM. Yep.
Label, like this would be an ECM label, truly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what we do.
Yeah.
I love that.
I mean, some of this is just, it
These
just
are her
reminds me of,
photographs?
these are her paintings.
Painting. Jeez.
Can you believe that this is a watercolor?
The only reason the tip-off was the top part of it.
I know. She brought her oil kind of painting into her watercolors. And
Wow. Yeah.
but your music kind of goes along with that too.
Go live.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because it's just some of this feeling is the same kind of open, kind of subtle stuff. Yeah. And back to your painting.
Photograph. I can't believe this guy sits on his deck every day and looks at this. Something not right about it. Right? You gotta live with it. I gotta come back out to California. Did you ever think that you guys ever go up to Big Sur?
Yeah. Absolutely.
My goal is to get back there. I just want to drive 101 one more time.
It's a nice goal.
Yeah, but I hear it's nothing like it used to be. That's true. I haven't been there in 40 years.
Well,
Driving
I
up
mean,
101.
time has changed, of course, right? And but I think there's areas that are the same,
Yeah.
but of course there's areas that aren't the same, because
Back in the
just,
day.
time goes on, and things get more commercialized and more built up and stuff.
So yeah, thanks for playing those cuts, man. It's awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to go hear. Wonder if I can hear your existential. What is it? The John Coltrane thing?
Visionary?
Visionary or exploration is which one?
Visionary is probably, you can go to that. I'm not sure what's available. That, you have to understand, I replaced Coltrane's saxophone with the flute on these compositions, which was an extremely difficult thing to do. But when it was done, a lot of critics we were very fortunate to get a lot of praise for doing that, because we put Coltrane's music in a different light, but there were still his compositions, except the improvisational parts, the heads and the out changes, and they're all the same. Same key signatures, everything. We did it all.
Yeah. Visionary. Oh, you're on sale at eBay.
Really? They still think I'm worth something. Thank God.
And
1999 or so.
It looks like various places are still selling it. You know, there's one, let's see, where HB Direct Classical Music is selling it. And
oh no.
Yeah.
See, you guys know more than I do. I thought I died a long time ago.
You did not. Here's something that what does this say? Oh, look at this. I'm going to show you this.
Oh, please. This girl's a hunter here, boy. She knows how to get stuff right away.
Here you are.
That's
Naima by Michael Mason.
Yeah.
I don't know if let's see if it really works.
No, it doesn't.
It should work because I am on Amazon Music. So, but sometimes they lead you down strange. See, like, where did it go?
Don't worry about it. They buried me a long time ago.
Let's just see. Michael Mason, Naima. Yeah. See, like, where the heck did it go?
Now, well, Naima is one of the most famous pieces by John Coltrane.
I know.
And it's the only way I know how you get to it would be the album itself would have.
Yeah, I would buy the album. That's the thing.
On Amazon, or would it be on the website? Fireflute.com. Maybe they would play I don't know. Those are just samples.
Is it on your
Fireflute.com is our website.
It's
Fireflute.com.
Fireflute.com. I went here before.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Basco Management handles it. I don't.
Oh, okay. So here it is.
Well, that's it. Yeah, well, they still didn't change that goofy picture. I gotta write them.
Oh, and see, here it is. Here's Equinox, and you can at least hear something.
Yeah. Yeah, Equinox, very famous tune by Coltrane.
Yeah, this is cool because you can go here and hear a little bit of it, you know.
That's a great tune, man. We had a good time with this. Great players.
Your tone sounds so good on this. Yeah, so you guys can go here, and here's Ja.
Ja. Yeah, it was a percussion piece.
Oh.
Made from a Nigerian drummer I had at the time that came to visit me. And he came up with this little percussion thing. I said, well, you know what? It's just going to be drums and a flute.
Drums and a flute. Well, yeah, just curious. So was that like all improvisatory, or was it?
We just did from the cup. I told him I'm going to move through 2 different modalities, and that's it.
Oh, cool. And then Angels of Fire.
Angels of Fire is the dedication to the 95 children that at my school of fire. So I did that for burn camps with kids.
You did that what? Say that again.
I provided the album for a non-for-profit organization, Illinois Fire Service Line. They have burn camps for children that were burned severely during fires.
Oh, I see.
So I gave them an album that they could make money, so they could camps to them.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So this is this is your this is where
that's our website. I'm going to tell Billy that picture should have gone.
But at least it has the hams in it.
Yeah, the hongs are there and everything else, and drums and stuff. But I don't even know how they did that thing. So anyway.
Fire flute. All right. And I noticed you do workshops. So do you teach as well?
Back in the day, we did workshops. Like, let's say we went into a college and we did a performance, we would do a workshop. Afterwards, I always asked Bill, I said, please, let's make sure that we, help students along the way.
Yeah.
Everybody always thinks that I'm, so what, got all these letters after my name or something, and I have to tell them the truth. I said, I have nothing. I've got a lot of letters after. I got an associate's in this. I did finally get my master's in improvisation out of the American Conservatory. And I think they only gave that to me because they felt so bad for kicking me out, after my records came out. All one day. Well, they had a big throwover, and that's why the American Conservatory left Chicago, because they were in some type of problem, with the records and stuff like that. And then they moved over to Indiana. They finally clarified these problems. And I was one of the ones that, hey, we're sorry we kicked you out. Now we know that you might be worth something. You have something to offer. So, yeah, they gave me an honorary. I said, well, thanks a lot. I was like 15 years, 20 years later. So, but anyways, that's how that. But yes, we used to do a lot of. There was a pianist I had. His name was Kevin Gaynor, and what a beautiful soul. In fact, he's probably responsible. I would say he's more responsible for me gaining the notoriety for Exploration Visionary, because of his musical abilities, and he had taught me a lot. But he died of cancer. At an early age. He was, I think he was barely 31. Wow. And and I saw him, I visited him in the hospital, and I felt so bad. He was supposed to do the Jamaican World Jazz Festival with us, and he got too sick to go. So I had to replace him with another pianist. So it was devastating. But when I got back, he wanted to hear all about it and stuff. But yeah, he would be the guy, my pianist, that I would use during our master classes that we would do. And the master class was strictly designed around improvisation. People just wanted to know, students just want, there were classical players that usually attended, like from Loyola or whatever. And they would say, how can we improvise? How do you do this? And it's really simple. It's not that difficult. The classical repertoire is a very tough repertoire. I think basically I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had a very difficult time with it because of its strictness. Even though my studies were studying the flute, I studied under the French school. The French school is Marcel Moyse out of France, or Taffanel and Gobert. So I had master classes with Donald Peck, the Chicago Symphony. I had master classes with Joseph Zerov. I had master classes with Jean-Pierre Rampal. I had, I that's what I would do. So I think for 2 or 3 years, I just traveled around attending master classes, paying my fees and everything. And by the way, every one of them said I was horrible. not a good class player. You know.
Yeah, interesting. Now,
Now,
I have a friend here online, Mark Baldrige, and he said, let's see. Well, first of all, he said, I don't know if this is true, but he seems knowledgeable. The conservatory lost their accreditation, and now they're a religious organization in Hammond, Indiana.
thank God I jumped ship.
Then he said, were you at the conservatory when James Dutton was head of the percussion and he brought in Willie Pickens?
Yes. 19 in wow, we're going back now. Willie Pickens, it was a pianist.
Okay.
And his daughter, Bethany Pickens, is on my first record called Deluge.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. We're talking now back in, oh my God, this would be around 74.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can ask him if I'm right about that.
Okay, Mark, you heard that, so yeah.
I don't know. The jazz department was just being developed, basically. I mean, it wasn't that great of a place regarding that, even though they were above board, above most. But Joe Sonnefeld was out of there. He was my vibes player. They had a small studio, recording studio. But yeah, he's right on. Yeah, he's right on. But Bethany, yeah. Wow, Bethany, man.
He said 1977.
All right. Well, I'm there on 70. So then I'm there. That's my problem was I'm there before the jazz department was fully developed.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he knows that.
Yeah, Mark. Mark, it's
Willie Pickens.
Mark, aren't you from Chicago, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember if Mark.
What's he play?
Mark said he was in her class.
In Willing's class or Bethany's?
Bethany's.
Well, okay, yeah. So, yeah, this is after the fact. So, during that time, I'm at Bloom School for jazz.
Right. Yeah.
That's where I'm at, hanging out. That's where I met Steve Rodby.
Right.
You guys from Pat Metheny. And in fact, he probably knows who's my drummer buddy out of there. The drummer for Pat Metheny. Who was it? Oh God, how could I forget? Shame on me. Paul Wertico.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and he would know those guys for sure. So
he said he was in both Bethany and Willie's classes. He is from Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah. So he knows Wertico. Wertico is teaching now. I think he was, or he still is. He's teaching out of Columbia. Paul Wertico, the drummer for Metheny, who's not with Metheny anymore. But,
right.
Yeah, because Sanchez is now playing drums for Metheny's group, or what's left of that. I don't even know what he does.
I'm actually going to. I'm going to go see Pat. Whoops. I'm going to go see Pat. Sorry.
Pat Metheny.
Music going on. I'm going to go see Pat. Whoops. I'm going to go see. Come on, sound, come off. I'm going to go see Pat October 1st. He's coming to Irvine at the Barclay Theater. So I haven't seen him play.
Is he doing it with the trio?
I think so.
Yes. Yeah. He's got a, I don't even know which trios he's with now. I mean, he done 2 albums with that trio. Is that the same trio that's coming there?
I can't remember. It's I can't remember. But
Metheny, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, he's 68 years old. He's the same age we are almost.
I think he's a little younger because when I was
no, I think he's 67, 68.
Okay, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go check on your information right now.
I'm just saying. He's not far behind us or with us.
You're right. He's 67.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now he's so this gig, let's see if I can find this gig schedule. I know he's coming. I guess he must be touring with this one band, right?
Yes, but I just saw him on an interview. It happened about.
Oh yeah, that's right. He had a new interview.
We had it with. Jesus, who was? Oh, it was with not Breitbart. This guitar player. He has a lot of YouTube videos out. He's a phenomenal theorist in regards to guitar playing, and chord changes, and all kinds of things. And he's got a regular, but he just had Pat on. Damn.
Yeah, you can find it right now on YouTube.
Anyways, that's how I only know what Pat's up to now.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to it. And actually, when I was in college, I wrote lyrics to a song of his called "In Her Family," which was just, I mean, his melodies are really easy to, to
Well,
watch.
yeah, because they're me and him are almost underneath it all. There's this modal experience,
Yeah.
and he's a guy that plays in a lot of triad stuff. He's into these triads, but the triads are the basics of it all, and then we get these extensions on the sevenths and the ninths and all that. But he's a freaking genius, man, when it comes to that type of stuff. So
He is.
but his thing isn't not just melody. Melody was created after the sculpture of the music is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's the same basis of how we kind of do what we do. But
Oh, so my friend said he's playing with James Francis and Joe Dyson.
okay, yeah, that's
And
that trio.
yeah, it's the Side Eye album. I guess that's the new album.
I didn't even have a chance to hear it, but the only reason I know about it was through this interview I saw that
Yeah.
he's out doing this thing.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
wow,
looking-
God
I'm
bless
really-
you. Have a good time.
I will. Yeah, and actually, he loves my lyrics. He gave me permission to publish, and he said my lyrics were some of his favorites that people have ever.
Do you got
written,
any
which is-
copies of that you can send me or anything? Or I
I
would
will
love
send
to
you.
hear it.
Yeah, it's really just such a beautiful song. Wow. But there is another song that I sing. What is that song? It's another Pat song that somebody wrote fantastic words to. I have to think of that, but that's a really beautiful one too. But yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, he's got some great tunes. He influenced a lot of stuff, and just the bass root notes and things like that. And, great albums, Full Circle, Bright Size Life, all that. I mean,
Totally beautiful. I know that.
yeah, when he was still getting. You remember the time was he with Jocko
Yeah.
Pastorius and all that? Man, how about when they hooked up with Joni Mitchell? I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and he just keeps doing it.
He's
Yeah, he's really something special. Well, believe it or not, it's been 2 hours.
and you know what? It flew by.
It did fly.
I hope it did for you. It's probably was more painful for you than it was for me, just listening to me ramble on.
No, it was not. It wasn't painful at all. 2 hours went by really fast, easy, and it's very interesting. When Ralph sent me your music and I heard it, I immediately was like, "Oh yeah, really nice." And it's really lovely to talk to you and to get to know who you
It's
are.
been great to talk to you, man. This is an honor and a privilege. Thank you for pursuing us over in the Midwest. I want to be out where you're at.
Recognizing that you exist.
Universe. I'd rather be out there, out your way. But stay tuned. The new album's coming out
Okay.
around Thanksgiving called Transcendence. And
Okay.
yeah, you're gonna love it. I think you'll love it. I hope you'll love it. But, hopefully we'll hook up again. What can I do for you before we leave? Is there anything? Really?
Hmm.
Spreading the word?
I'm not sure. Well, I can just tell you, I could tell a few people who's happening in the next, week. Do you mind?
No, not at all.
So, so tomorrow I'm actually posting an interview from yesterday because my friend couldn't actually be live on tomorrow. Nick Anderson, he's you might come across him sometime. He creates these home venue concerts in Seattle, and he's done it for 15 years. And
Seattle, Washington, right?
Seattle, Washington.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Pacific Northwest.
yeah, and he's a great jazz singer too himself. And then Thursday through Sunday, I have I do the archives. So there's Kim Richmond, great alto player, Corey Allen, a producer who used to be married to Cheryl Benteen from the Manhattan Transfer. Saturday, the terrible trio, I call them, great singers, very good singers and known. Kate McGarry, Shauna Tucker, who also plays cello, and
Cellist. That's what I'm looking for, is a cello player. Yeah, but I can't afford those people.
There's a lot of cello going on in LA.
Why is that?
I think, well, first of all, LA has an embarrassment of riches when it comes to great players and doing things, and even though we don't have a super amount of clubs, still there's a lot of players here who are great, and experimental people like Billy Childs, has matched, mixed the orchestra with the jazz, and but smaller groups too, and John Diversa did that, and
yeah, you're plugged in.
Yeah, a lot of people. There used to be a club that actually a student of mine started called the Blue Whale, and it lasted for 11 years. Last year he finally closed it. He was living in Korea because he's Korean.
The pandemic killed it, or
basically just, yeah, I mean,
no, it was just that time.
Nobody knew. No, it would have continued on, but nobody knew, when it was going to change, and he waited about a year, I think, before he closed it. But anyway, it was a great club, really, just one of the best. And so there was a lot of experimentation. You probably would have played there if you came out here. Lots of experimentation, and definitely a lot of string players.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have loved it. You can find it online. I mean, I know you're not a online kind of person, but you can go on.
Sure I am. Don't sell me short yet.
Oh, okay. You said
I'm learning.
But look at YouTube and look at the Blue Whale, and you'll see a lot of fantastic music. So anyway, that and then Sunday, one of the best great American songbook singers there is, Rebecca Kilgore. She's from Oregon, and Tom Wakeling on bass. And then next week, just Jeremy Siskin, great pianist, John Leftwich, a great bassist, engineer.
Bass player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mark Christian Miller, a great singer, and on and on. People can go to my website and check that out.
Man, you're plugged in.
I am. You know what number you are?
I don't know. You have to assign me a number.
My friend always says, he's from Roanoke, Virginia. He says, my girlfriend, he said, I asked my girlfriend, what number I was on her list of boyfriends. And she said, I thought I was like number 3 or 4. She said number 520.
Oh.
He's the same one who says people call him Big Daddy, or they used to call him Big Daddy, but now they call him Little Puppy.
So what number am I?
You're 321.
My God.
Fantastic.
It's okay.
It is okay. I mean, God, there is thousands.
You've been a busy woman. You've been a very busy woman.
It's so good to talk to people and get to know them and to inspire people listening. And
I hope so. I hope we did good.
We did great.
So let me know when I can come back or whatever.
Okay. Okay, cool.
We got to connect.
I'd love to connect.
Need that voice. I got to hear that voice.
D flat. I'm going to go experiment on D flat now.
I'll have something. I'll have something for you.
It's so beautiful. I really love it.
Tell me what you don't mind what time signature is or whatever. Just a good.
Yeah, whatever you feel like creating is good for me. And now that you're on my wavelength, I'm sure it'll be perfect.
We got it.
Okay.
New album, number 3, coming out. Gotta call you. Hey, thanks for having us.
Thank you, Michael. Really fun.
God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, take care of yourself. We'll talk.
Okay. Bye.
When can we go on to some of my players want to watch your show. So what do? I tell them 3:21?
Well, first of all, there's a few different ways. First of all,
how do they do this?
They can just go on my Facebook page.
I already sent them your Facebook.
Since it's already it's on right now live on Facebook.
Well, yeah.
So it won't be far down, if they go on today or tomorrow or the next day. But they can also go to my channel on YouTube and see it. And also they can go to my my website, and this event has an archive link.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I put everything.
The other shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I put everything in Dropbox, and they can just go to there and they can watch it or download it, whatever.
Cool. God bless.
Bless you too. Thank you so much.
No, man. Thank you. Take care of yourself.
It was a pleasure.
Can I get up now?
Yes.
I forgot they're in the music scenes. No, I'm all right. Take care.
By the way, I really dig your hair.
My hair? I have no hair. How could you dig a person that has no
really
hair?
Pretty. Like when you turn wow, it's beautiful. The white, it's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm getting old.
Nah.
Not much left. What am I going to do? How about that? Honey, I'm home.
Peace.
Take care.
Love.
Absolutely.